Hi there. Welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we are going to be playing with two fat burning circuits, and the idea here is to keep the body moving with no rest to keep the heart rate elevated. As always, I'd like you to play where you're comfortable, modify where you need to, and feel comfortable to take a time out by pausing the stream should you need it. For today's class, you are going to need a stick. I've fashioned a broomstick, which works pretty well. And if you do have two dumbbells available, I've got two 2 kilogram weights that I'm going to use. You can bump the weight up or down. If you don't have dumbbells at your disposal, maybe raid your pantry and see if you don't have maybe 2 little bags of rice or dried beans, something like that. We aren't going to use the dumbbells extensively, just 4 little exercises where we need a little bit of additional weight for the arms. You ready to play? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set ourselves up standing more or less in the middle of the mat today, holding the stick in your hands, and you're going to float the stick overhead and rest it on the back of your shoulders. Open up the feet a little bit wider than hip width distance apart. We're going to take it into a gentle squat, so you can V the knees softly out as you come into the squat line. You're going to take a big breath in, and on an exhale, as you bump the weight back into the bump, float the stick overhead and then bring it back down to tap on your shoulders. Every time you come into the squat line, give me a nice exhale. Inhale as you float back up. And as the legs start warming up, try to systematically begin bringing your thighs more parallel to the floor each time so that you're really feeling that work through the legs, the quads, the glutes, the hamstrings, even the calves and the shins. Let's do 3 more, and then we're going to take it into a little lunge line. So just make sure that you've got enough room to step back on your mat. You're going to float the bar overhead, and you're going to maybe bring the feet back into parallel. Take a big step back with your right leg into a lunge line. You're going to give me a small twist, and then dip back with the stick as if you wanted to tap the mat behind you. You're going to alternate lunging side to side, and as you take the lunge, give me a small rotation through the trunk and then tap the stick back as if you wanted to reach for the back end of your mat. And we're going to shoot for between 5 and 10 repetitions. Find your lunge line first, then take it a little soft rotation through the trunk and tap the stick back, reaching maybe for your heel or the back end of the mat. Make sure that you've got a nice steady lunge line before you begin rotating through the trunk. Let's do 2 more. As you complete the last one, come back to your start position, floating or rather having the bar in front of your thighs. You're going to give me a squat, and as you give me a squat, you're going to lift the bar up and then rest it in your palms, almost thinking of brushing the bar from the top of your thighs along your chest, and then when you reach the shoulder line, giving me a nice little sit back and resting the bar in the palms of your hands. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2. The last one, you're going to come to a standing frame and you're going to rest the bar just above your chest, more or less in line with your collar. You're going to float the bar overhead and then think of tucking it behind your head so that you're getting a nice little bit of work into the upper portion of your chest. Keep your feet softly in parallel, tailbone softly tucked under, belly button pulled in. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. As you complete the last one, you're going to change your orientation on the mat. You're going to hold the stick up at about shoulder level, and you're going to pretend that you're stepping over a gate and then slipping under the gate. Step over the gate and under the gate. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 more to go, and then we're going to change direction. As you complete your last set, reverse, stepping over your gate and then under. Step over and under. 8, 7, keep that bar up nice and high. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. As you complete the last one, come to standing more or less in the middle of the mat. Take a little step to the side, just gently stepping side to side. As you get your side step ready, float your bar overhead, almost as if you wanted to tap the bar to the ceiling. 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to add to this basic side step. Add a little kick. Holding the bar in place, in line with your shoulders. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. If this feels good, you're going to add to that. Give me a little poke with the stick, as if you were trying to push the wall at the opposite end of the room away from you. Let's do 5, 4, 3. Last set. As you complete the last set, you're going to heel toe in. Give me a narrow stance on the mat and float your bar gently overhead. Dip off the center line and come back. You should be feeling a nice stretch into the rib cage and into the side of the body. Keep the feet sandwiched together, big toes and ankles fused along the center line. Dipping just off the center line and almost pulling the bar apart with your fisted hands. Let's do 2 more sets to each side, and then we'll change the leg line on the mat. Heel toe out and think of coming to a goddess line. Think wide plie. Feet are softly splayed out, knees and ankles more or less in a straight line. Float your bar overhead. And then repeat that little off-center dip, almost as if you were trying to take the tip of the stick and tap it to the floor. Keep your tailbone slightly tucked under, belly button pulled in, and don't allow the knees to fall in. Pretend that somebody's pushing the knees away and trying to tap the wall behind you. Let's do 3, 2, last one. As you complete the last one, come back towards the center line, heel toeing in, and we're going to use the stick almost as a pole to just hold on and center ourselves. You're going to give me hand over hand into the stick, hold it and float your feet into a small Pilates V with the heels together and the toes softly splayed out to the side of the room. You're just going to gently float one leg out to the side and back again, tapping the toes softly to the mat and back. And don't lean too far off the center line. Push down through the stick and allow the stick to ground you. Let's do 2 more. You're going to end high and you're going to pulse gently up and down. 5, 3. Last one, float back into your Pilates V to rinse and repeat on the other side. Lifting and lowering the leg, softly tapping the big toe to the mat and not deviating too far off the center line. Pushing strongly down with your hands into the stick so that you're firmly grounded. Let's do 2 more. We're going to end high and we're going to softly pulse. 5, 3. Last one. As you complete the last one, come back to your little Pilates V and you're going to give me a small little plie out to the side and back. So just a soft little bend through the knees. Make sure that you're keeping that little tuck of your tailbone, belly button firmly pulled in. And you're either going to stay with the plie line or you're going to add that single leg lift. So you're going to give me 1 plie and a lift, 1 plie and a lift, alternating side to side. 3, 2. Last one. We're going to add that little flutter motion of the leg in. 1 plie, 3 little flutters. 1 plie, 3 little flutters. Plie, flutter, plie, flutter. 3, 2. Keep pushing down on that stick. Last one. Then we're going to repeat that little circuit beginning right from the start. So as you complete the last one, change the orientation on your mat. Float the stick behind your head. Open up your feet a little bit wider than hip width distance apart. You're going to gently come into the squat line, floating the stick overhead and tapping the stick to the back of your shoulder blades as you come back up. Exhaling to sit down, inhaling to come up. 6, 5. Make sure you're bumping the weight back and that your knees are not tracking over your toes. Let's do 3 more. As you finish your last one, make sure that you've got enough room to step back on the mat. Heel toe in, coming to more of a parallel stance and float your stick overhead. Lunge back on the right, take a small rotation through the trunk and tap back with the stick as if you were reaching for the back of the mat. Then alternate side to side, taking a step back, twisting through the trunk, and then reaching with the end of the stick as if you wanted to tap either your foot or the back end of the mat. Give me controlled movements. So find your lunge line first, then begin the twist and the little tap. Let's do 2 more. Last set. As you complete your last set, come back towards the center line and have the bar just in front of your thighs. You're coming back into a squat. As you squat, you're going to brush the stick up along your chest, and then at the last minute, as you come into the squat line, rest the bar in your palms, palms looking up to the ceiling. Brush the bar from the top of your thighs all the way along the belly and the chest, ending more or less shoulder height, and then rotating through the hands, palms looking up to the ceiling. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. You're going to end with the bar at about chest height. Raise it overhead and slightly behind, almost as if you were trying to tuck behind your head with the bar. Keep a soft parallel stance on your feet with the weight bearing equal on the balls and the heels of your feet, belly button firmly pulled in to center. Let's do 2 more, then we're going to change our orientation on the mat and we're going to do those little over-unders. Swivel on the mat, bar more or less in line with your chest. You're going to step over that gate and under the gate. Over the gate and under the gate. Keeping the bar up nice and high, more or less shoulder height. And you can almost think of pulling the 2 hands apart as you're holding the bar so that the arms stay active while you're playing. Let's do 5 more on this side. 4, 3, 2. Last one, then you're going to change and take your step to the other side, lifting over and then under. Over, under. Over, under. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. You're going to find your way to the middle of the mat and you're going to take a little spring step side to side, almost floating the other foot off the mat. If that feels good, simultaneously raise the bar overhead as you take that little side step, almost as if you wanted to bump the stick to the ceiling. Let's do 2 more like this. Then you either stay or you add a little kick, as if you wanted to kick the wall at the other side of the room away from you. Let's do 5, 4, 3. Last 2. You're either going to stay with the kick or you're going to add a little poke of the pole, as if you were really trying to ward off that wall and give it a good little poke with your stick. As you keep stepping side to side, keeping the belly button firmly pulled in and the stick up quite high, more or less at shoulder height. Let's do 2 more to each side and then we'll come to rest in the middle of the mat. Heel toe in, give me a narrow mountain, big toes together, ankles together, float your stick overhead, dip just off the center line and back. Holding the stick quite broad, a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, and think of pulling the 2 hands apart the whole time so that you're actively engaged with the stick through the arms as you dip off the center line. Giving me a nice contraction in the side and keeping your belly button firmly pulled into center. 1 more to each side, then we'll find a goddess line on the mat, heel toe out, and think wide plie. Feet softly stayed out, knees stacking over your ankles, float the stick overhead. Keep pulling the stick apart as you alternate dipping off the center line, side to side. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. As you complete your last set, you're going to heel toe back in towards the center line and you're going to firmly plant your stick into the floor, using it as a flagpole, and you're going to find a little Pilates V. You're going to begin floating one leg out to the side and softly tapping it out. And take it out a little bit wider than hip width distance apart. So find your tap out position on the mat, but don't allow that leg to flop back heavy to the floor. Make it feel really light. Engage your glute and your inner thigh to lift and lower that leg. End high and give me 10 soft little pulses up and down. Trying to keep your body line as centered as you can and pushing down into that stick. Float back towards the center line and take your toe taps out on the other side. Effortlessly lifting and lowering that leg, keeping the turnout position on your supportive side and pushing down firmly into that stick with your hand over hand grasp. End high and flutter up and down. 6, 4, 3, 2. Last one. You're going to come back to your little Pilates V, and you're going to gently give me a small little plie out to the side, bending through the knees and coming back up again. Give me 6, 5, push down actively into the stick. Make sure it's firmly planted into the floor. You're going to stay here, or you're going to, the next time you V out, you're going to softly give me a little leg raise out to the side and come back to your V position. Alternating side to side. You're either going to stay here or you're going to add a little flutter after your next round. Small little bend, flutter, 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 bend, flutter, flutter, flutter. 4, 3, 2 more to go. The last one. You're going to gently take me into some roll downs, and you can keep your current orientation on the mat, so holding the V position. I'll give you a side view. You're going to start with the bar more or less resting on the top of your thighs. Nod your chin to your chest, hollow out through the belly as you roll down, almost reaching with the bar to the floor, but not quite. And then peeling back up to your start position. Feeling a little release into the lower back as you come down and peel back up again. Let's just do 4 more to release the back. And then we're going to loose the stick, and we're going to work freestyle and with the dumbbells for the last little circuit. As you complete your last roll down, you're going to gently place the stick on the floor, out of the way, and you're going to change your orientation on the mat. Coming to stand on the mat, and you can keep it in the middle of the mat with the hands softly on your hips. You're going to lift and lower the right leg, not allowing the foot to reconnect to the mat. So keep it softly floating off and visualize pulling a little piece of string through your belly button that connects your inner thigh, the top of your thigh, and your lower abs. All right, let's change sides. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. You're going to alternate side to side. Make sure that you're not driving the movement from the knee, but rather engaging the inner thigh and your lower abs to lift and lower the leg. You're either going to stay here or you're going to morph into a standing dead bug by pressing your palm into the knee as it comes up, so that you provide a little bit of additional resistance and really feel those lower abs working as you float the opposite hand overhead. Let's do 3 more sets. Then we'll take it into some roll downs. Retrieve our weights. So as you come down, reach for your hand weights if you have them. And just give me 5 little roll downs, adding the additional weight of the dumbbells. Keep a soft parallel line. Make sure that you're hollowing out through the belly. If you don't have your dumbbells and you don't have a prop that you can use, then you're just going to do this freestyle without any weights. Let's do 2 more. And then we're going to end in a standing frame. And you're going to open up the feet a little bit wider and hip width distance apart, allowing the feet to softly splay out. And you're going to rest your dumbbells on your shoulders, almost as if you were holding a bar behind you. You're going to hold that arm position with the additional weight, resting just shy of your shoulders as you take a little squat and come back to your start position. Bumping the weight back into your bum and your heels, and progressively trying to bring the tops of your thighs more parallel to the floor each time. You're going to give me 2 more. Last one. You're going to end standing, bring the feet in slightly, and have the weights just in front of you. You're going to, from here, have them long and lengthened at your side. You're going to just gently lift them up and then shoot up to the ceiling. Scooch them up and then push up towards the ceiling. Lift up, push up towards the ceiling. Almost giving me a little dipping motion as you lift the weights up and then push them up to the ceiling, almost as if you were trying to prevent the ceiling from falling down and you had to push up. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, clean it and push it up. We're going to take it back into some roll downs using the additional weight to work just a little bit harder as you roll up and down. We're just going to do 3 more, and then we're going to place the dumbbells gently on the floor and we're going to work freestyle. On your next journey down, maybe bending softly through the knees and just placing the weight one side. Place both hands on the mat and step back into a plank line. We're going to do a burpee walkthrough, stepping up one leg at a time. As you come to standing, float the hands overhead, come back to the mat, step back into your plank, and then step it up. If coming up and down to the mat is not for you today, you can modify the movement by just standing up nice and tall, placing the hands in a surrender-like fashion behind your head, and just dipping at the waist, bumping the weight back into your heels, and coming back to your start position. Otherwise, little burpee walkthrough, stepping up and down. As you come to the standing position, float both hands overhead. I'm setting a moderate pace. You're more than welcome to speed the movement up or to slow it down. Let's do 3 more, and then we're going to come into a plank line on the mat. Last one. Hold the plank line on the mat, maybe opening up the feet a little bit wider than you usually would. You're going to think of almost threading the needle, taking the left hand, tucking it underneath the right armpit, and then hinging, knife edging your feet and opening up into a T-frame. You're going to rinse and repeat, shooting for between 5 and 10 repetitions, tucking underneath your armpit and then rotating on the feet, knife edging them as you come into a modified side plank. Let's do 3 more. Then you're going to stop holding that side plank and you're going to dip and lift through the hips. Keep that bottom shoulder nice and strong. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Come back to your plank position. You're going to rinse and repeat on the other side. Tuck underneath the armpit, then rotating through the feet to knife edge the feet, finding a modified side plank and floating your hand up into the soft T frame. Let's do 4, 3, 2, last one. You're going to hold your side plank and you're going to lift and dip nice and strong through that bottom shoulder. Pike the hips up gently to the ceiling and then come back to your start position. 3 more, then you're going to find a low squat line from here. Ease your way back to your plank and step the feet nice and wide. Coming into a wide squat with your feet almost off the mat. Tap your fingertips to the mat and then come to a standing position, floating the hands overhead. So you're giving me a nice wide squat line, almost marrying Malasana, deep squat, with a horse line. Feet are softly V'd out. You're tapping the back of your fingertips to the mat as you come into the squat line, and then coming into a nice extended leg line and floating the hands overhead. The next time you come down, step one leg back, coming into a modified lizard. Come back to your squat line and take it overhead. Place both hands onto the mat, step the opposite leg back, come back, float your hands overhead. So you're adding just an almost little soft lunge back, keeping that turnout position on the front leg as you alternate stepping one leg back at a time and then coming back into your squat line. Let's do 2 more sets. Last set. Keep your belly button firmly pulled into center as you play. As you complete the last one, you're going to ease your way back into a plank line. You can do an elbow plank if you prefer. And you're going to hold your plank, or you're going to play by taking one knee out as if you wanted to tap your elbow or your armpit and looking over the shoulder for that knee so that you look like a little lizard walking on the desert floor. Ease your way into a down dog frame from here, or kick back in child pose if you need a timeout. Pike your bum up to the ceiling. Check that your hands are shoulder width apart, feet hip width distance apart. You're going to disconnect one hand from the mat and tap for the opposite ankle. And you're going to alternate side to side, disconnecting one hand, reaching through the midline and tapping for the opposite ankle. You can float your heels off the floor. Otherwise, try to ground the whole foot for a little bit of additional work up the back chain of the legs. Keep your belly button firmly pulled in to center. I'm setting a moderate pace. You can speed it up or slow it down. All right. As you complete your last set from your down dog frame, give me a relaxed dog by coming onto the fingertips, bending softly through the knees, and take a small little bunny hop back, more or less to the middle of your mat. You're going to gently peel up along the center line, checking that your legs are stacking in parallel underneath your hips. Place your hands softly on your hip bones, or keep them long and lengthened at your side. As you lift and lower one leg up and down, we're going to just repeat that little circuit. Remember, you're not driving from the knee. You're using your inner thighs and your lower abs as if you were tugging on a little piece of string through the belly button. Let's change sides. Shake it out. Lift and lower. You're going to give me 3 more on this side. Then we're going to alternate and flow into our little dead bug. Placing the hands on the hips if you need to, or arms just long and lengthened at your side. Make sure that you're not driving from the knee. Use your powerhouse. Engage your inner thighs. Use your core to pull that leg up. When you're ready, you're going to start adding a little bit of resistance by pushing your palm on the same side into that leg, and pause there, feeling that little bit of work through the lower abdominals as you float the opposite hand overhead. Let's do 3 more sets, and then we'll take it into some standing roll downs and retrieve the dumbbells. So as you complete the last set, check your parallel stance, nod your chin to your chest, round out through the belly as you roll down, retrieve your weights, keep a softness to the knees as you gently roll up and down, keeping belly button to spine, looking for that connection through the inner thighs and the abs as you mobilize down one vertebra at a time and bring it back up. Let's do 3 more, and then we'll open up the feet slightly and come into our little back squat. The last one, you're going to end in a standing frame. As you come to your standing frame, open up the feet, bend the elbows and rest the dumbbells on your shoulder line, almost as if you were holding a bar behind the head. Coming to a gentle squat, keeping the dumbbells locked in position as you squat and come back up. Exhale to sit down, inhale to come up. Keep your belly button firmly pulled into center as you play. Let's do 3 more. Then we're going to do that little power clean and a push-up. So 1 more. As you complete the last one, bring your feet in slightly. Start with the dumbbells along and lengthen at your side. Clean, bring them up, and then push up towards the ceiling. Drop them down, scoop them back up, and push up. Clean to push. Clean to push. Clean, push. Clean, push. Let's do 5 more. Then we'll bring it back into some roll downs. Keep a softness to your knees. As you complete the last one, come back into your little roll down, keeping the feet in your soft parallel line. Rolling up and down with fluidity. Almost allowing the dumbbells to replicate that bar that we were playing with in the beginning of the class. Let's do 2 more, then we're going to allow the dumbbells to just stay on the floor as we play with that step through for a burpee. Connecting your hands to the mat, stepping back into a plank, and then stepping up 1 leg at a time to float the hands overhead and back down. Find your burpee walkthrough, or play with your hands behind the head, just giving me half a seat and taking a little bow. If you'd like to make the movement more plyometric, you can take a little jump overhead and a jump back, and use a little springing action instead of walking the legs through, taking a jump every time with the legs. Play it up, add, or keep it simple. Let's do 2 more. We're going to end in that plank line. You're going to step up into a squat, tapping both sets of hands to the mat, and then extending through the legs as you float the hands overhead, allowing the feet to softly V out and maybe stepping off the sides of your mat. Remember, you don't have to come all the way down. You could give me a midway squat, almost bringing the arms in line with your shoulders and then floating back overhead. Ready to add that little lizard? Step 1 leg back, pausing, come back into your squat and float overhead. Lunge back, come back to your start position and float, alternating side to side, keeping that slight turnout position on the lead leg and keeping the belly button firmly pulled in to center. Let's do 2 more sets. Then we'll find our plank hold and we'll add that little Spider-Man walk in, that little lizard walk. Last one. Come into a full plank line or an elbow plank, holding steady, or take one knee out to the side, peeping over that shoulder for the knee, and think of tapping the knee to your elbow or your armpit. Keep your body line nice and parallel to the floor and keep your belly button firmly pulled in. Ease your way into the down dog. Find your down dog frame. Try to drop the whole sole of the foot to the floor if you can, or you can keep the heels floating off the floor. You're going to disconnect one hand from the mat, reach through, and tap for the opposite ankle. I'm setting a moderate pace. You're more than welcome to speed the movement up or slow it down. Keep your belly button firmly pulled into center and keep your bum piking up to the ceiling. Let's do 3 more sets. The last one. Come back to your down dog frame. Maybe coming up onto the fingertips, softening through the knees, taking that little bunny hop forward to land more or less in the middle of your mat. Peel up along the center line, look back and check that you've got enough room to lunge back. So if you are on the tall side, just move towards the front end of your mat. You're going to float both hands behind your back, interlace the hands, make a little fist. You're going to take a big step back with your right leg, allowing just the toes and the ball of the foot to connect to the mat and taking a nice little stretch through the calves and the back chain of the leg. Keep the hands interlaced behind your back. Think of squeezing the 2 shoulder blades together and expanding laterally through the chest. Step up and change sides, allowing the back toes and the ball of the foot to connect and pushing back softly into the heel of the back leg, but allowing it to float off the mat. Come back to your start position, bracing your hands on your hips or just keeping the arms long and lengthened at your side. You're going to step forward with the right leg, connecting the heel to the mat, toes pointing up, bend your supportive leg, and then maybe reach down and try to pull the ball of your foot and the toes up towards your face as you take a little stretch up the back chain of the leg. Then gently peel up along the center line and change sides, stepping forward, toes pointing up to the ceiling, bend your supportive leg. See if you can reach down, either fingertips on the mat if you feel unsteady, or reach for the undercarriage of your foot and gently pull the ball and the toes up towards the ceiling. Peel back up along the center line and hug your right knee in towards your chest, trying to stand up nice and tall with your shoulders stacked over your hips, your hip over your knee and your knee over your ankle. Then gently reach for the foot and squeeze the 2 knees softly in towards each other, enjoying a nice stretch into the quads. Hold that stretch or morph into dancer by floating your left hand overhead so that it's framing your ear. Hinge forward from the waist and kick the foot into your palm as you try to come into a tabletop line. Peel back up along the center line, shake it out. We're going to rinse and repeat on the other side. Standing up nice and tall, hugging the left knee in towards the chest. Check that your shoulders, hips, knees and ankles are stacked on the supportive side. Then run the hand down the chain of the leg, reach for the bridge of your foot. Squeeze the 2 knees softly together and hold that squeeze, enjoying the stretch down the quads. Stay or find your dancer line by floating your right arm overhead. Hinge forward, kicking the foot into your hand and coming almost into a tabletop line. Peel back up along the center line and clip the 2 feet together. Keep the arms long and lengthened at your side. Tuck your tailbone under, pull your belly button in. You can keep your current orientation on the mat. I'm just going to give you a front view. You're going to just drop one set of fingertips down towards the floor and keep reaching down as if there was a little magnet, gently pulling those fingertips down towards the floor. Hold. Peel back up along the center line. Exhale, drop and hold on the other side. Keep your feet sandwiched together along the midline of the body. Let's do one more to each side. Keep your tailbone slightly tucked under, belly button pulled in. Last one. Peel back up along the center line, float your hands to prayer, and end off with a little bow. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. Really hope you enjoyed today's class. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Remember to shoot me your comments and just subscribe with your notification bell on. I shall see you all for playtime on the mat tomorrow. Till then, keep it light.